Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tides Watch. I'm your host as usual, Jimmy West, where we talk about the Halifax Tides and the NSL. This podcast will go over the most recent game with Halifax hosting the Vancouver Rise. To me, if you ask the average or regular or the diehard Halifax fans, this game was kind of circled on the calendar for a while now. They still remember the 6-0 beating at home by Vancouver, and I think a lot of the fans were hoping and wanting to make that game disappear with a win here. But unfortunately, that didn't happen as our Tides fell 2-1. Yeah, let's break it down. Let's start as usual with the starting lineup. So a few changes today, as a few players were out. So Stephen Hart had to lean on the bench, which I think, going into the season was one of those things where we said, hey, we have depth this season. And this was a good chance to see, those players get a chance and get to show their stuff. So starting at left back was Cheyenne Allen. Annika Leslie came in. This was her first match of the season in for Naya Cadorza. Addie Wakers was the other center back, and Jubes Velerand was on the right. In the middle, we had Sarah Taylor also making her first start. She's played a few minutes before this match, but her first start. Cho and Karima Lemire. And up front, we had Sarah LaMiller, Jordan Rhodes making another start, and Tiff Cameron making her first start of the season. So 3 starters, and one of them hasn't played at all this season. And of course, for this one, Foster Inman was in net as Annika Toth was out again. The other players that were out were Kat Jordan, Julia Benatti, Megumi Nakamura, and Stella Downing. So five players out, and we had to adjust there. So just to talk about the starting lineup here, Annika Leslie, it goes again to the idea of I do understand that Stephen Hart might want to make some changes. Maybe Naya is still young, so he thought maybe give her a rest or give some rotation. But again, if you're looking to play Annika Leslie, in my opinion, why not play her in the last few minutes of the last match or somewhere else? Because it's always hard as a player to, this would have been the 4th or 5th game, I believe. No minutes at all, and then all of a sudden, hey, you're starting today. To me, it's a bit of a disservice to the player, right? Like it's almost like a pitcher and you just put him in cold, no warm up, just here you go. You're gonna face a really good batter. Good luck, kind of thing. Where, I'm just not sure about that. It was nice to see Sarah Taylor get her first start. I know her fan club was there again. You could hear them on the broadcast, which was really exciting. And it was nice to see Tiff Cameron get a start too, to see what she can give and what she can go through. On the bench, we had Ava Fermot, Sin Mu, Sid Kennedy, Sam St. Croix, Julie Pedersen, Naya Cadorza, and Julia Akao. I believe Julia Akao is one of the youth players who was called up for this game. Just again, when you have 5 of the regulars out, it's time for a youth player. And I'm glad for her to get a chance. I know she didn't play today, but just to be in and around the first team is always a good feeling, especially when you're a youth player and you're one day want to be there, right? It's nice to see and go through the pregame routines, see the match, and see how the players handle themselves, which is a huge boost. So hopefully she learned some things, and hopefully we get to see some other youth players come up and even if they don't play, at least get to experience what a game day looks like. Okay, so let's look at some of the key moments of the game. In the 5th minute, we had a chance for the Tides. It was a diagonal ball by Karima Lemire. So Tiff Cameron receives the ball on the outside. She passes it back to Cho, and Cho passes to Lemire, and Lemire puts it back out to Cameron. So it's kind of a a triangle where Tiff gives it to Cho, gives it to Lemire, and then just starts running and then gets it back in the corner. Tiff at this opportunity had a one-on-one with her defender. In my opinion, and as a coach, so before I continue, I got some messages where people were saying, "Hey, you played professionally. You've played before. Please insert some more comments about what you would have done or what the experience is for a professional player." So I'm gonna try to insert that into more of my breakdowns and my conversations. So as a player, I was always taught that when you're on a one-on-one and there's no cover, meaning there's no defensive help there, which it was a situation like this, you have the green light, meaning that take on your defender. Worst case scenario is that you lose it and it's in the final third, so the team has to come all the way back to try to score on you. So there's really no harm there. Middle case scenarios that they stop you and it goes out for a corner. You still create a scoring opportunity. So I thought Tiff had the green light, and this is the time to take your defender, because if she beats her defender, she's one-on-one with the keeper, which as a forward player, that's what you wanna be. So her decision this time was to not take the defender on and pass it back to Jubes, which is again okay, fine. And then Jubes whips in a cross, which Jordan Rhodes just has a glancing header to. So the play worked out, but I would love to see the wingers, especially if it's Miller or Cameron or Kennedy, the players who are playing out there at the moment, take your player on, like especially early in the game. Like it worked out in the end, but yeah, I would love to see Tiff go at her defender there. Next moment is in the 17th minute. There's a penalty shout by Abdu, the Vancouver Rise player. On replay, it was a foul. It was by Addie Wakers, but it was outside the box, so not a penalty. But Abdu just kind of bodied Wakers, and Wakers went to go for the ball, took the player, again outside the box. But yeah, it definitely was a foul. In the 22nd minute, it was a great over-the-top ball by Cho, which ended up in a shot for Cyrilla Miller. So I thought a lot of the opportunities that the Tides created, especially early on, were over the top. And when I say that, I mean a midfielder, hitting kind of a long ball, whether it's either diagonal or right over the defensive back line, and a forward or midfielder running onto that. So that's what I mean over the top. So there was a lot of opportunities for that. And yeah, Vancouver was really weak at that. I think they went with a different formation, which had only 3 defenders at the back. Vancouver usually plays a 4 player defensive back, but they were playing the 3, which means they were gaps in those areas just because there's less players there. So it was on all day, and Cho was playing some great balls there. Lemire did, especially early on in the game. In the 24th minute, Cheyenne Allen gets the ball, a nice little nutmeg, putting the ball through another player's legs, and then passes it to Sarah Taylor, who puts a nice cross into Jordan Rhodes. She gets a shot off, blocked, and then Cameron gets another shot, and Okamoto just gets it away in time. So what I love here is that we have players forward, meaning that Cheyenne Allen, who's the left back, gives a nice pass to the midfielder, who makes that darting run and can whip the ball into your striker, who gets an opportunity, and the outside winger comes in and tries to get a shot too. So unlike last game, we were really on the front foot this one, and I think that's how we're going to have to play. Stephen Hart talked about playing on the counter. I think for this team, they want to play on the front foot, meaning that they want possession, they want to go quickly, they want to get the ball up there and try to get some scoring chances. One thing I mentioned too, or wanted to say too, is I think Okamoto is a really underrated defender in this league. I think she's really tenacious. She reads the game really, really well and can get forward. So, yeah, I think she's extremely talented. And I found out, too, that in Japan, she was on the same team with Megumi Nakamura, the Nagano team. So that's kind of interesting how both players ended up in the NSL, perhaps the same agent. But sorry, just a side note, but just, yeah, just something I noticed. Fast forwarding to the 35th minute, another over the top ball for Cameron, who gives it to Rose, and just a miss hit. If she gets any type of purchase or any type of contact on that ball, it is a goal, which is kind of heartbreaking because the next minute, that's when Vancouver Rise get their first goal by Di Filippo. So the breakdown of that goal is the ball that goes down the side. Allen just a step, just one, shoelace away from intercepting that. She can't cut it out, which then goes to the Vancouver Rise winger forward, who runs down the touch line, which is the end line, and then cuts it back to De Filippo, who side foots it into the bottom right corner of the keeper, so bottom left for De Filippo. No chance for Riley Foster Inman. No chance there. But what not frustrates me, but I think where the breakdown happens is that Addie Wickers and Annika Leslie had the same player. Nobody stepped up to Di Filippo. So there was one person making a run in front of them, but Di Filippo kind of cut back into just the top of the six, and is wide open. So we were just too flat there as a back line. Someone needs to say, okay, this is my player. I'm going to run with him. Hey, you got to take there. And I think just that miscommunication left a player wide open who is one of their best players in terms of scoring goals. And, just has a tidy finish and puts us down 1-0, which I truly feel like is an unfair scoreline, but life isn't fair. Soccer's not fair. Because the Tides were carrying play the whole game, like up to this point. They were getting opportunities, getting shots, just weren't finishing, which is the key. And Vancouver gets their one chance and they finish it. So, kudos to them. But yeah, the Tides got to feel hard done by. And again, like I mentioned in my last podcast, a lot of people look at possession to see which team's carrying play. I tend to look at free kicks and corners, and for this one, I believe by halftime, the Tides had 5 or 6 corners to Vancouver's 1. So, I really thought they were dominating, but went down, and you gotta come back. Moving ahead to the 50th minute, Cho has a great through ball for Jordan Rhodes, who passes it to Sarah Taylor, who's in the box, which I love to see, your midfielder getting forward. And Sarah Taylor takes 1 touch, 2 touches, 3rd touch, and then tries to shoot, and it gets blocked. At this level, maybe the 1 touch you get away with, but the second has to be a shot. No way are you going to get 4 touches in a professional level. So I think if Sarah Taylor just kind of quickens her speed there, she was fairly wide open when she got it, and just finishes it. Just strike the ball into one of the corners. And unfortunately, that hesitation creates no opportunity, which again, is kind of disappointing. They showed a stat track on the prompter that showed the amount of chances created by each team. They had Halifax at 46 at first place, Ottawa Rapid 34 second, Montreal Roses 33 with third, and AFC Toronto 22, and Calgary Wild and Vancouver Rise both only with 21. So the Halifax Tides have more than double the chances created than the bottom 2 teams in the league. So what does that mean? Like I used to watch a program. It was called Tim and Sid. Maybe for the people who are over 35, maybe they've watched that. But it was on Sports Center, or I guess it was on the Score, which no longer exists, and then they went to Sports Center. But they used to always have a segment called meaningless number or important stat. So chances created, is that a meaningless number or an important stat? And what does that mean? Like, if they have 46 chances, which is Halifax Tides, does that mean we're not finishing? Does that mean we're making the wrong decisions at the final critical moment? Are we not hitting the net, like, to finish it? Like, I have lots of questions, and after this play, not pointing out this play, like, not just saying this one, but I would say all game, especially that first half, we created so much, but ended up with no goals at half. So what does Stephen Hart need to do to make adjustments so that those chances created become goals? Is it meaning a formation change where you have, more strikers, more natural people in front of net? Is it, I think that's pretty drastic because I think they're playing well. Like the 4-3-3 is working. Is it just more training on striking the ball? Like, what does it mean? I'll leave that to Stephen Hart, but to me, I think that's telling me that Halifax is getting there and we're way improved from last year and we're doing what we need to do, but we're not finishing our chances. And I think against teams, whether it's Vancouver, whether it's Toronto, Montreal, like, you have to score in this league because without those goals, a defensive team will be great, but you need somebody to put the ball in the back of net, which makes me fast forward to the 55th minute, which is a nice run by Cyrilla Miller. She goes by Quinn, she goes by Reyes, and then gets a nice shot off. But again, it goes for a corner instead of a goal. But I'm glad it led to a corner because this one Sarah Taylor took. Karima Lemire took the other ones, and they were great deep corners. This one was kind of more into the middle of the box, and this one drops kind of the second phase, so it was kind of bounced off a few players, and then drops to Jordan Rhodes, who has a really nice spinning shot, kind of gets it facing the wrong direction, and then kind of has two whacks at it and finds the bottom corner, which is what you want your striker to do, right? By any means necessary. Put that ball in the back of the net. And it was really, really good. What I love to see, too, is her celebration wasn't just her running off by herself. It was going to the substitutes who were warming up and showing that this is a real team. Like, everybody is in it together. Everybody wants to win. And, hey, just because you're not playing right now, you're going to get your chance. And when you do, kind of do what Jordan Rhodes did, right? She didn't start the first two games, and then has started the last two and has played really, really well. After the goal, Karima Lemire came off for Julie Pedersen. Right after the goal, and this is where you got to be your most cautious self, is a ball gets played. Cheyenne Allen, unfortunately, just the wrong side of the defender, gives away a penalty. She takes the defender down. It is a penalty. Contact was made. Just again for Cheyenne Allen, she has speed. She has the footwork. To me, I know you got wrong side as a defender, but I was always taught, do not foul there. Try to, even if you have to go shoulder to shoulder, even on the wrong side, you have a great shot-stopping keeper in net. Put her on her left. Put her on her weaker foot and make her beat Riley Foster-Inman. Make her put it in the bottom corner. If she does that on your weak foot, great. I did all I could as a defender. But giving away a foul to try to win that ball there, where you're never gonna win it when someone's in front of you and running at full speed. You have to use your body, and you have to kind of shuffle them to one side or wait for help as well. Addie Wickers was coming back. But yeah, unfortunately, a penalty. Quinn takes it and they put it into the top right corner, which is Riley Foster Inman's left. And Riley Foster Inman guessed the right way. She was almost there, but it was just a really, really good penalty. And yeah, now the Rise are back up 2-1. In the 73rd minute, we had Tiff Cameron coming off for Sid Kennedy. And I'll tell you what, whatever happened, maybe Sid needed this to kind of sit for a game and come off as a sub, because this was her best game, like by a mile. And when I say that, I mean she was running at her defenders. She was coming back and stealing the ball away from her opposite numbers. She was really fired up. And if we can get a Sid Kennedy like this for 90 minutes, the other team's in trouble, because I was really, really impressed. I know she came in the 73rd, so you do the math, 17 minutes plus extra time. Not a lot, but if she can do that for, call it 45 minutes in a game, or 90, which would be amazing. Yeah, I'm really excited to see Sid's next game. That's what I'm saying. Next up was in the 83rd minute, Sarah Taylor came off for Naya Cordorza, pardon me, and Naya went to striker. So we talked about this in preseason, right? Naya at some points in her college career played striker and had quite a few goals. So she has that instinct to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. And in the 88th minute, Cho gives a nice ball to Jordan Rhodes, who puts Kennedy in kind of on a half breakaway, if you will. So she's on her left foot, charging at net. And in my mind, I'm like, you got to hit it, Sid. Just put it in the bottom corner here. Let's go 2-2 and let's try to get a winner late. And instead, she makes a pass, which I don't know if Naya was expecting it. I don't think anybody was expecting it. And then it just goes over Naya's foot, which, oh man, unfortunately was our last chance of the match to tie it up. And if Naya scores that, she's an instant hero, right? A great center back and great defender, and also can score. But just unfortunate. I don't think she was on her toes, and it kind of had a weird hop when it came to her too. So, but yeah, again, maybe this goes back to that chances created, where if Sid shoots on her left, she can put that into the bottom corner. I know she can. And the other thing that I thought about too was the keeper for Vancouver. They changed keepers. I think the last keeper gave up something like 11 goals in the first 3 matches, which again, you're not blaming your goalie, but you got to shake something up. So the person they had in net was a 20-year-old who's I think half Japanese, half Canadian parents, but just a fresh person who, if you get shots on net, she's not an experienced keeper, right? So I feel like we did a disservice by not getting more shots on net and making her work, because I think this would have been a good opportunity. But yeah, that's how the game ends, 2-1 for the Vancouver Rise. So the next part I'll do is I'll do the player breakdowns individually. So let's start with Cheyenne Allen. I thought she had a good game. I really do. I think she had some great going forward moments. She had a few nutmegs, taking on her players, on her opposite numbers, which is really, really good. Unfortunately, she does give away that penalty. But yeah, other than that, like, take away the pen, she might have been up for player of the match, but that was a tough one to give away. Next up is Annika Leslie. I thought Annika played great, especially for playing 0 minutes coming up to this point. She was in the correct position. She had Abdu, which is another good striker in this league. She kept her under lock with the help of Addie Wakers there. So I think she had a good match. Do I think I'd rather see Naya in there? Yes, but that's not taking away from Annika Leslie. What it's showing me is that we have 3 really, really good center backs. And at any point in time, if there is an injury, maybe that's what happened with Naya today, and maybe she can play the full 90. I'm extremely confident with Annika Leslie going in. I thought she showed really, really well today. Addie Wakers is next up. I think again had another good game. I would just say that the first goal was just a miscommunication. Um, where she was the one who probably should have stepped to De Filippo and cut out that cross, or at least stand her up so she can't get a shot. But other than that, played really, really well. Next up is Jubes. As per usual, Jubes is up and down, like up and down the field. I mean, she played really, really well. I would say at one point in time, I would say she did look a little bit gassed, a little bit tired, right? Jubes has played every single minute so far. This would have been a great time to see Eva Fremo in, and maybe Eva Fremo could have, supplied a little bit more width just because fresh legs and fresh mind, and perhaps got some more opportunities going forward as well. So that's a question I have for maybe Stephen Hart, is maybe we look at a sub there, but again, Jubes played well. Sarah Taylor, I would say this was the best I've seen of Sarah Taylor, including of last year. I thought she was up and down the field really, really well. Just the little things of, less touches, but again, that just comes with game experience. But yeah, I thought Sarah Taylor had her best match in the Tides colors. Next up, we have Cho. So for me, Cho, I thought was really, really good in the first half. I really did. I thought she made some good through balls. Over the top balls are great. The beginning of the second half, pardon me, she still had it, and perhaps this was the same thing where she looked a little tired, and then some of her passes were wayward, which is unlike her. Yeah, I'm just not sure. Maybe Karima should have stayed and Cho come off, but hindsight there. But she did look a little knackered towards the end. But one thing I want to go back to, Nako, the young 17-year-old, who's just a youth development player. Seeing Cho play at 37 years old, seeing her experience, again going to my own personal soccer career, the year I improved the most as a soccer player was my freshman year in college, where I actually didn't start as many games as anybody wants, right? You want to play every single minute, but it was kind of a humbling experience. And as soon as I got over I'm going to learn something. The way I learned the most was watching players who were better than me and more experienced. So there was a midfielder on my team, similar to Cho on this team, who had amazing footwork and had fantastic vision. And what made him so good and what made me improve was, everybody be looking right, and he'd make this amazing pass to the left, right? And it'd be just like, how did he see that? And then off the ball, just making rounds, and how did he get so wide open? And then you see it, you mimic it, you start to understand why they're making that run and seeing the success. Next thing, the next season, I was doing that, and I was just like, oh, yeah, that's right, because that's what works. That's how you get better. You see better players and more experienced players, and hopefully that's not just for the 17-year-old, but that's for everybody out here who sees, wow, this is what it looks like for the second most cap in her country history, South Korea, second most games played. And that's an established women's, team. So that's really impressive, and you can see why. So I thought Cho had a really good first half and a little bit of the second, but yeah. Karima Lemire next up. I thought she played well too in the first half. Again, her long balls were on point. The diagonals were really, really good. She stretched the field, put Tiff Cameron in, put Cyrilla Miller in a few times. So she spread it out wide. But she did look tired again. So this to me maybe is one of those games where you look at the 5 players who are missing, and you could say that, hey, this is where we needed a Benatti in there because we were tired. There's been a lot of games, and this was kind of that short week where we played just a few days ago too, right? So I think that had a impact for sure on this one. Sorella Miller, I thought this was her best game of the season, in my opinion. Um, she was really going at her defenders, which was nice, but just missing that finish, which is, I think, um, something where if she can put that together, she's going to be one heck of a player. If she can add that finish and add that correct decision making at the right time, she is going to be a very, very good player in this league. Next up was Jordan Rhodes. I think Jordan Rhodes is now becoming a staple on this team. I think she's proven that she can play that number 9 position. She can hold up the ball. She can combine with other players. And then when she gets her opportunities, she's able to finish, right? I would say she had maybe two where I'm like, okay, she should score, and she scored one of them. So, I mean, you can't fault that. And it was a really good turn and shoot and bottom corner, and then scores the goal. So, really impressed with her. Tiff Cameron, again, I think I'm waiting for that wow moment like Sid kind of gave today. I thought Tiff was a little shy in terms of taking on her defenders. She was, passing up some good opportunities as well. Where I'm like, but it was nice to see her out. But I think she needs to just add that little bit of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to score. Or I'm going to make this right pass to her game, and I think she can potentially get a starting job there. But yeah, just as right now, I think next game Stephen Hart has to come back to Kennedy, especially after that performance. Again, only a short time span, but a good performance. So in conclusion, I think my player of the match for this one is Jordan Rhodes. Gets that goal, works hard, played 90 minutes, and looked really, really good doing it. So I think that's where I'm going to go with that one. Okay, so before I wrap it up, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the next game. So I thought in my mind, the Tides needed this one, right? This is against the only team in the league who did not have a win all season so far. And they gave up that win to Vancouver. So if this wasn't a must win, the next one absolutely has to be. It's against Calgary. I think Calgary is the weakest side on paper. And I think they're very beatable. I think they have to, like the Tides have to get at them early, finish their chances when they get those opportunities. Hopefully we get some of these players back to be healthy, and can really go at them, because we can't lose this one, and now be 3 games in a row with a loss. Which brings me to my last point is, I talked to Derek on the Tides pod there, and just asked him, what is this team? Like, what is this team right now? Are we the first 2 games? Like, are we the team that dominated Ottawa, who is now in second place and very close to first? Are we that team? And the team that held AFC Toronto, and arguably maybe we should have won that game? Is that us? Or are we the team that just lost to Ottawa and just lost to, before this one, the last place team in the league? And Derek's answer is maybe we're a bit of both. And I kind of agree with that. Maybe this season is going to be a little bit bumpy, right? And that's what it is. They say that progression and development isn't a linear road. It isn't just straight up. Here you go. Keep going. But there's bumps and patches along the way. And maybe that's what we're going to look like this year. It's going to be a couple of wins and really good wins, and then a couple of close ties or losses, and you just kind of spin the wheel and see what we do. But it'd be really interesting to see towards the end of the season, everyone healthy, rotation is on, rotation is proper, meaning that people aren't sitting out for 3-4 games without any minutes and then starting some, but everybody gets minutes here and there and share it around, because this is a very deep team. Maybe we could be closer to the top, but I don't see us missing the playoffs again. I just don't think that's acceptable by the fans, by the players, by the coaching staff. You heard them talk during the preseason. So I'm really interested in seeing where we go from here. But next one has to be a win against Calgary. Thankfully, we don't have to wait too long for that one. That will be on Sunday at 8 p.m. Atlantic time. Get some revenge, get back onto the win column, and let's go Tides go.